Hi, everybody, and welcome to this deep dive. Today, we are going to deep dive into Webflow. For those of you who haven't joined us for any deep dives previously, this is where we get into the tech and get technical on exciting things. So today we figured it'd be really fun to go through Webflow. Our website is actually built in Webflow. And we have Katie on the phone and also Sophie on the phone as well, who are going to be doing things with Webflow. And we also have Nelson. So I wanted to quickly introduce our special guest, Nelson. And Nelson is at the Pixel Geek on Twitter. Hi, Nelson.
Hello.
Nice to meet you. So glad you're up for this. It's very exciting. And we also have Katie Fujihara here. Hi, Katie.
Hi.
And you can follow Katie at Katie of Code on Twitter. And then we also have Sophie, and Sophie is Oxymoron Baby on Twitter.
Hello.
Very cool. Okay, so Nelson, let's just get deep into it. And if you want to share your screen and just show us exciting things that we can do with Webflow, first thing I want to do is, can you teach us how to add a page?
Okay, but first, do you want to get a little bit of intro for the audience who doesn't know what Webflow is? Or?
I absolutely assume everybody knows what Webflow is. So tell us a little bit about what Webflow is.
Actually, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
If we can just dive right in and everyone's like, oh, yeah, I know Webflow. I mean, that'll be a thing. That'll be a thing. I hope it'll be a thing. But yeah, so if you don't know what Webflow is, webflow.com, it's a a professional web design tool that helps designers and developers develop visually inside of your browser. So you can build for the web without writing a single line of code. And now for the designer type of person, this is awesome because you can take your designs and execute them for the web easily, and everything happens in real time. Okay. But for the developers, some might say, oh, using a WYSIWYG is kind of scary because of the past tools, the past WYSIWYGs of Front Page and Dreamweaver and stuff like that, where the code is either bloated or doesn't really work cross-browser or cross device. Well, with Webflow, our code is production ready, it's super clean, and it's fast, and it's just up to you to see the proof of it. And the beauty of Webflow when it comes to designers and developers is that it creates that bridge. A lot of things get lost in translation between designers and developers. An easy example of this is when you're talking about typography. For developers, you use terms like letter space, line height. But with designers coming from a graphic design background, you're thinking more about kerning and leading. And so there's already that weird loss in translation. And there's times when a designer wants to push a design far and say, oh, can we do this with the web? And there are times when developers will say, maybe not, and they would have to take a static mock or some sort of design and translate it into code, and there's this kind of conflict between the two sides. So Webflow is that bridge to bring both sides together, because when you're designing inside of Webflow, it happens in real time, and hopefully that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I love Webflow because it's so, it's like you can make a change to anything and then you can just press publish and then all of a sudden it just shows up on your website. So it's really nice to also bridge the gap between I think in general, business people or marketing people and the web, because you're not always dependent and reliant on the developer. Right. It's just there for you. And this is actually one of the reasons why we moved over to Webflow. I used to do everything in WordPress when I didn't know how to code. And then I learned how to code and I was like, okay, no, I need to build single page apps. That's all I'm going to do. Right. But then as I got super busy, I said, okay, no, this is too much of a pain in the butt. I need somebody else to do it. Okay. Our designers can use Webflow. Okay. Let's just have them do that. This is like this weird transition through.
Yeah. And what was your experience right when you launched it and you're like, okay, it's done. This dot is now live.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it was awesome. There's like no real like strong experience except for the fact that like I think the best thing about it is you can just go in and you can make changes. So the thing I really like about it is I can have anybody who doesn't know how to code go in and make updates, or you know, we do a lot of events, so creating events, updating copy, and I don't have to rely on, you know, somebody to do something, or you know, waiting for something to be pushed or anything like that, right? Like it's like, oh, okay, we can make that change literally in 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes.
Yeah. And one last question before I start sharing my screen and start doing this deep dive.
Yeah.
Because most of your audience are developers, I've seen some tweets and got some questions from people when I go to meetups and present from developers. They're like, so is this tool going to take away my job? And I always tell them, no, it's not going to take away your job, because it streamlines the basic code. And just wondering, do you ever see that when you're do you ever get that type of comment whenever you're telling people about Webflow?
No, not really. I feel like when you're building, I mean, what you know, I don't know, but I mean, can you use Webflow to build a very rich sort of like interactive experience, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never used it. We're just using it for, you know, registration and blog related stuff. I actually was, you know, before I decided, hey, let's do a deep dive on Webflow, I was like, hey, maybe we could do, you know, half our site in Vue and then half our site in Webflow. I'm kind of glad I didn't go down that route, but you know, does Webflow have those capabilities? Like, can you kind of do a hybrid?
You can prototype inside of Webflow and export your code.
Oh,
And you can host it in any other environment. This is our biggest, I think our biggest team plan is with Dell, and that's what they do. I think for their e-commerce store or something like that, where their whole design team just prototypes inside of Webflow, and they're the ones with the style guide. They're the ones who are making all the components, and they would export it and give it to the developer team. So the developers don't have to focus on CSS or HTML. They can focus on the other types of developing, the ones that make an e-commerce site come to life. Yeah.
that is really cool. I never even thought about that, but that is actually kind of amazing. So cool. Okay.
I love that about Webflow, because when I was hearing you, Nelson, I was thinking, like, I never really, as a developer, I never really thought bad of Webflow, because what I like about it is that because of the way it's built, you can just use a template or the general, you know, basic functions, or you can deep dive into it. And that's what I like, because even if I'm a developer, sometimes I don't have the time to, you know, learn each part, the back end, the front end. So I think it's for different needs in a sense.
Yeah. There's in our first phase, we were trying to help out people who already knew code and just wanted to streamline their workflow. And then our current, I think this current phase is now helping designers, empower designers to build for the web and just learn the basic fundamentals of HTML and CSS, and then they're good to go to build for the web. And now, just yesterday, we launched e-commerce, and so we're also helping business owners build a more branded experience for their storefronts. So, yeah, all without code, which is really, really awesome.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, well, cool. So let's jump into showing us how to do it. So you have our website on your computer. And maybe the first thing you can show us is just, you know, this is the this.website. And how do you add a page?
Okay. So there's two types of pages. There's static pages. Static pages are just those one-offs, like the home page is a static page, your content or your contact page is a static page. And then you have your dynamic pages, which is, let me see here. I think this is a, here we go. Is this a dynamic page where it's pulling in dynamic content from a database?
It's yes, it is. Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So yeah, each one has the same card template, and when you click on Learn More, they all have the same page template.
Right.
And so we're gonna go into what Webflow looks like after you log in, create an account, and start building your site. So this is a copy of your fully built website. And
so
great job, by the way.
Are you in designer mode right now, or?
This is designer mode.
Okay.
Okay. And to create a new static page, you would click on pages and then create new page. And just like that. And you can give it a name.
So what if we want to create like a page for like media?
You just type in media. And then give it its SEO settings, open graph settings. If you have site search enabled, you can go ahead and do that. You can add your own custom code to the head tag or right before the end body tag, but after the jQuery call. And once you're done with all that, press create and you have a blank page and you're off to the races.
So how do we make sure it's like branded the same as all the other pages?
Awesome. Great question. So what we can do is a faster route I would do in creating a page is I would
duplicate one.
Exactly. So I'm just going to duplicate the home page just like that. There's a button right here. Let me do it again. So I'm going to click on settings and then duplicate and call this media and create. And there we go. So I'm on the media page, right? So I have a media page right here. And it's up to you how you want to structure it. You can delete as much as you want. Let's go ahead and delete some of the stuff. Actually, let's leave the hero row right there. Let's delete that. Keep that. And then, yeah. Yeah, just leave it something like so it's different. And so you can just change whatever you want. Okay.
So what if we want to do things like add like a bunch of images from some sort of like dynamic thing or something like that?
Can you explain dynamic? Not sure what you mean by that.
Well, let's say like, for example, we have, like we want a list of, speakers.
Okay, so right here is the CMS, and this is where all of your dynamic data comes from. And we don't call this a database; we call it a collection of items because it sounds nicer towards designers. When you tell a designer,
a database in a sense.
Yeah, it's basically a database. And what's cool about this collection manager is that if you want to create a new database, just click here and you can create a new database and structure it however you want. Okay, so I'm going to give it a URL. And when I click add field, this is the same thing as creating structuring a database. All right. And we give you all these types of fields: plain text, rich text, which is good for like blog posts and whatnot, images, etc., etc. Boolean, switch. But the reference and multi-reference is what's powerful because this is what makes your collections relational. You have the database relations, and this is reference good for things like blog categories, whereas multi-reference is good for things like blog tags. And so yeah, you can structure it however you want. It's up to you. And what I'm looking here is full group of persons. So for example, let's take these groups of persons, right? And we want to add it to this page. Okay. And so we're going to bring in that dynamic content. So let me just show what the dynamic content looks like. So we have group of persons and each one, just has a name. Okay. So this is going to be simple. We're just going to bring that list of items in that collection into here. So let me put it, where should I put it? Let's see here. I'll just put it in here for now. Let's see. And this is my first time opening your site, so I'm just trying to figure out how you built it. Okay, so you have a container, you have your row. Okay, so let me just delete this for now. Okay, cool. And so how to bring in a database and connect that to your page is just simply drag in a collection list inside of the element that you want, and then choose the collection you want to pull data from. And that's it.
That's basically like choosing the database you want to pull from.
Yeah, it's just like a query, you know.
So like, how about now? How do we get it to be like a the pictures?
Yeah, so these don't have pictures because if you look here, they only have a name.
Right.
Okay, I can pull another one. Let's see here.
Because that is actually associated with like persons. So it's like you have to create a person, and then that person is in a group of persons. So like persons would be with pictures, for example.
Oh, okay, here we go. Let's use sponsors.
Okay.
Because it has logos. That'd be easier.
Okay.
So let's change it from groups of persons to sponsors.
So you're just changing that actually directly in. So you're like editing which database it's pulling from, like literally within the element.
Correct.
Wow, that's cool. Are you guys impressed? Because I'm impressed.
No coding right here. Now, the cool thing about this is I can design this loop however I want. So it's pulling every record until end of file. And if now it's up to me to design for each item. So I'm going to hold on. Let me just double check. Do they have a link? No, it's just a name, logo, and sponsor type. So that's what we're going to do. So let's go ahead and pull in their logo first. So I'm going to drag in an image here. And so what you see there, I put an image into one record. But because it's doing that loop, it's doing them for all of it, all of the other items. Okay. So now I'm going to double click that image and say, pull that image from the sponsors and bind it to the logo field. And there we go. All the logos are showing up. Okay. And then I don't like how this is laid out, so I can use Flexbox. So I'm going to go here to collection list, set it to flex. There we go. I'm going to do a wrap. And then all of these items right here, I'm going to do the sizing. Let's do it 20%.
Oh, we're not pros. I can tell. No, I mean, our designer who made this is a pro, but this is awesome.
Pro to 1. And so, honestly, I don't know how to write Flexbox CSS. I've never learned it, but all of these visual cues helps me kind of figure it out. Okay. And I can say I know Flexbox without writing it, which is awesome. And so now that I have...
Before we move on from like this section, is there a way to view all of the code that you've like that is related to the web page? Like a button you can click and it shows you how, like, even though you're clicking on the UI, like all the code that it like translates to?
Yes. I'm logging into Slack right now. I forgot there's a certain query hold on. Hold on. Peak, I think. Enabled peak feature. Hold on. Let me see. What's the I think it's peak. Let me refresh. We only use it. We hide the code because we want people to focus on the design. And I'm trying to find, hold on. Give me 1 second. Whoa. Well, I'll find that for you later. But there is some sort of way you can look at the code, but
we don't want people looking at the code. Like, do you want people to can you directly edit the code?
No, you cannot.
Okay.
And the reason why is because we want to abstract the code. We want to let people understand what
export your Webflow site, which would export the code that it's written with, right?
Correct. And so if you click export, you can export your HTML, CSS, JS, and all your image assets. However, you cannot export your collection data from this area. Okay, you can export your collection data from here, but it'll export it out as a CSV. Okay, so unlike WordPress, where you can just take everything from one environment and put it into another environment, hosting environment, however you want, you cannot do that with Webflow. And there's a good reason why if you're gonna do CMS with Webflow, that you host it on Webflow, is because whenever there's a bug or a new feature, the bugs get fixed immediately, and once it's fixed on our end, everyone has that fixed immediately. Or if there's a new feature, once we deploy that, that's ready for everyone. You don't have to download the whole product and then deploy it to your own server and hope that it doesn't break any plugins or anything else. So yeah, everything's more cloud-based.
Awesome.
I actually had another question. Sorry.
Yeah.
Many questions.
No. I'm happy to help.
Okay, so I was wondering if Webflow has the capability to have similar to kind of how there's Storybook for React, like a UI component type of thing. So you can set assets a certain way, kind of color schemes and things, and then just pull it in easier. Or if you wanted to make another button that looks like all your other buttons, would you just have to copy paste, or how would that work?
So you want to make the same kind of elements everywhere,
Yeah.
right? You want to have a style guide?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can create a style guide inside of Webflow, and let me give you an example. Let me see here. Style. Okay, so here's this other. So you can have a master style guide project on a completely different project within your account, right? And you can style it however you want with your design team. Okay, so you have your colors. So this is a template of a style guide. And let me go to where's components. So let's see a submit button. Okay, let's use a card. Okay, so what you can do is we have cross site copy paste now. And so what you can do is I can copy this card. Okay, I just did a copy on my keyboard, and I can go back to this site and let me put the card in here. Paste it. And now that card and all of its styles was pulled from here. Just okay. And now I can play around with this however I want. I can put that in there. And let's remove the paragraph, the card title. And notice right here where it says renamed card class to card 2. So it seems like your site already has an element or a style named card. And so to avoid conflicts, it just renamed this new one to card 2. Okay. And now I'm going to bind this to the name of the thing. And then there you go. And they all have different sizes. So that's not cool. So let's fix that probably with height. I wonder, will that work? Nope. Oh, it's because of that. So I have to go like that. Yeah, something like that. And that one, yeah. Sense. And there we go. So yeah, something like that. Is this making sense? Oh,
yeah.
wow.
And I was actually sorry. I keep on. I don't want to detail, but
don't worry. That's the point.
Okay. So I was wondering if you set your height and width to like a set pixel amount, will it be responsive if you resize it, or will it stick to whatever height and width you set it as?
Okay. One more time. So the height and width.
Yeah. If you set it to oh, I see. So for height and width, it looks like you can only choose percentage.
You can choose percentage, pixels, M's, VH, VWs, set it to auto. Yeah.
So I was wondering if you set it to pixels and you set it to I don't know, 500 or something. If you resize it, will the columns shift, or will they stay in a row of 5?
So let me fix this real quick. Okay, so the columns I've set right here with the flex. So this is 15%. And so if I go higher, it goes like that. Okay. And the reason why it's creating rows, it's because of Flexbox, where here I'm setting this to flex and I'm setting all the children items to wrap. If I don't wrap, they all stay in one row like that. But if I do wrap, then they go down. So once they hit 100%, go to the next row, 100%, go to the next row. And then here, the reason why there's only 3 is because I'm using this grow right here. And I set that to 0, then it won't grow.
Oh, I see. Okay, I see. That makes a lot of sense. Oh my gosh, that's so easy.
And it's the beauty of Flexbox. And there's other things I could show you the world of Webflow in this stream, but I don't know how much time you have. But yeah, happy to answer any other questions. So that's a little bit about how to create a static page and how to connect and design dynamic data on your static page. Now, the other go ahead.
Going back to the first question, I found a button to export code. That it's on the left. Yeah, that one. So we were when we were talking about exporting and importing code. So here I can it says prepare zip. So we'll download everything with the folders and the index and the structure you need.
Correct.
For example, if I do something and I want to put it on GitHub.
So I'll download the zip, opening it up, and then here you go. That's what it looks like.
That is really great. And can you import code? You can, right?
You can import code you can add custom code by going to page settings. So here's one for there, and here's custom code for there, or on the page itself, where you can just drag in an embed, and you get a mini code editor here.
Oh, I love that.
Okay, so we give you as much flexibility as you need if you want to dive in deeper and deeper. This is Webflow. It's a rabbit hole. It just keeps going further and further because one thing leads to another, and like, oh wow, I can do this. I can do this. I mean, even you can connect Webflow with Zapier, and if someone, for example, submits a form on your contact page, or
we do that, and we get an email.
You get an email. You can send it to your text message, whatever you want with Zapier, right? Like, so, yeah, it just goes on and on and on. Yeah. And the second thing about creating pages is dynamic pages. So whenever you create a collection, you're given a dynamic template page to work with. Okay, for example, I think, let's see here, events. Yeah, so for events, we'll go to your events template page. So they're purple. We need to go to that. And there we go. So whatever you do at this page, it's the shell for all of your dynamic content. So if I go here to another event, this shows what that page will look like there. So if I make any changes here, I'm making changes on all the other events. Okay. And let me see here. Probably your sponsors is blank. Yeah. So say the sponsors is blank and I want to make a sponsors template, for example. So I can pull in your nav bar, can bring in a section, make this section like 550 pixels tall, make it flex, center, and let's just say it has your sponsor's image and your sponsor's name. I want to make this vertical and make that smaller. Push this away. And there we go. And so this is a dynamic page and it's pulling from, each collection item. Does that make sense? Hello?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Yeah.
I was wondering, so when you in this case, in this example, you're in sponsors template. So you're pulling from the sponsors collection and kind of exporting it to an sponsor page. I'm sorry.
It's okay. So so I can publish this right now and just show you example. So as that's publishing, you can see the URL. It's going to be whatever your website is /sponsors/ and then whatever the name is right here. So I'm just going to copy that and not that one. I'm going to go to your site /sponsors/ and there we go. I've created a page for this. Okay. And now if I go to, say, Career Builder, I'm guessing it's Career-Builder. And there we go. So I've created a new page for each of these sponsors. Now, if you want to make a new page for the sponsor by adding a sponsor, all you have to do is click New Sponsor, fill out the form, and publish your site, and outputs a new page for that one sponsor.
Okay, that is really fast. I'm so amazed by how fast it is. But what if you want to, like, for example, this Career Builder page, you want to use a template in general, but then you want to put something that is not in the rest of the sponsors pages?
Oh, good question. So we're going to go to sponsors and let's add a new, let me see here. Let's just add a new image. Okay. Photo. I don't know. And let me look for something. Okay. So let's go to Career Builder and for some reason, let's just add in Kirby. We'll add Kirby into there. And now this Career Builder has a photo and all the other ones do not have a photo. So you can actually do conditionals inside of Webflow.
But they all have the file, right?
Excuse me?
Like they all have the option photo now. They're just empty, right? Okay.
Yeah. And so what I can do is I can drag in the image get the image from photo, and there we go. Let's make this smaller. Max width 25% away. And so this image, I can actually go to the conditional visibility in the settings panel and say this element is visible when photo is set. And I save it. And so if I go to another one, there is no, that image is gone. If I go to another one, that image is gone. If I go back to Career Builder, the image is there. And I do this kind of, I do conditionals a lot with, for example, if there's an so I did a website for a nonprofit organization called International Relief Teams, and they have a modal whenever a natural disaster happens, or they're like helping out with disaster areas, and they need donations to send food or supplies over to that area. They would have a modal pop up. Well, I don't want them to have to call me each time they want to put a new modal up whenever a natural disaster happens. They have an option to turn on or off that modal, and they would use a toggle switch. And so again, I showed you that right here. So you can have a toggle switch and say, should I show the logo? So something like that, right? And it's just a yes or no. So for, let's say, in Studio, should I show the logo? No. But for Career Builder, I'm going to say yes. I'm going to save it. And so I can go to this and add another conditional visibility. And it's the same things like, should I show a modal? Yes or no? And so I would go to, should I show the logo? This element is on when show the logo is on. Save. And there we go. I can still see it here. But if I go to in Studio, no logo. If I go to Oasis, no logo. If I go to Career Builder, there is one.
That is so cool. Wow. All this magic. It's like, as you just go deeper and deeper, you want, you're like, wait, could I do this? Could I do that? It's really
most of the time the answer is yes. Our community is creating some crazy things with Webflow, and when there isn't a way to do it inside of Webflow without code, they will add their own code experience, their code skills to Webflow and do something fun. And it's just so amazing what they do. And a lot of marketing teams are starting to use Webflow to let their designers build some crazy stuff. And I don't know, have you been to the Webflow showcase?
No.
Well, yeah, some crazy things are happening there. For example, this project right here, they rebuilt their site inside of Webflow.
I was just thinking about that example when I was looking for examples. It's incredible.
Yes. It's super incredible what you can do with interactions. And that's a whole nother level of Webflow that you can learn and create these interactions and parallax animations. Well, not this is a video, but interactions like this where bars are filling up. You can do that without code inside of Webflow, and it's hover states.
Cool. Wow. Well, so one question is how, oh, that's so cool. I love that. Oh, interesting. I really like that. That's cute.
Yeah.
What about, so, if you were to, so, okay, you buy Webflow, you use it. Now what? I mean, how do you learn all the things? How do you become a Webflow pro?
So we have a place called university.webflow.com. So it's the Webflow University, and the education team is so good. Mm-hmm. Now, have any of you watched any of the videos here?
No, not yet. Mm-mm.
Oh, you're in for a treat. Now, learning something, learning something new is always hard, but it's rewarding in the end.
Right.
But learning something new and having fun at the same time is rewarding and easy to want to get deeper into. So our education team is not only very good at what they do, but they're very funny. And just like our CEO, they do their best to add as many puns as possible. So I'm really happy you haven't seen any of these videos, because you're going to go through these crash courses very fast. And they just go on and they have a joke or two to help explain everything. So yeah, university.webflow.com has everything you need to learn about Webflow. If you still have questions, the forum.webflow.com, our community is super duper awesome. I've been part of the Webflow community since 2013. A lot, I think 90%.
That's a long time. I didn't realize it's been around for so long.
Oh yeah, August 2013. And 90% of our customer service or customer support team started on the forums first and were hired off of there. That's how dedicated our community is. And it's just a beautiful place to be in, to ask your questions, because you can be a beginner or advanced, and everyone will help you out as much as possible.
Cool. That's awesome. Katie or Sophie, any last questions for Nelson? All right.
I think I'm okay.
Cool.
Yeah, me too. It was really good.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome to see that. Well, that's so cool. Well, you've definitely inspired us to learn more about Webflow. Very excited about that. Super excited to see the community too, right? Because your product is just not going to scale without a strong community, actually.
Oh yeah. Oh, and one more thing about the community. We have over 30 meetups. We have over 30 meetups around the world with over 5,000 members. So search for Webflow on meetup.com and there could be a community around you. And if you want to start one, please hit me up on Twitter and I can make that happen.
Oh, that's exciting. Cool. So again, you can follow Nelson at the Pixel Geek on Twitter. And this is the Deep Dive podcast. We have these every few months or so. I think the next one Rob is going to be leading, probably talking about something related to performance. So a little different topic than this, but we're excited anyways. My name's Tracy. You can follow me on Twitter at Lady Elite. And again, Katie is Katie of Code on Twitter, and Sophie is Oxymoron Baby. Find more of these types of podcasts on our website, this.co, built with Webflow. And we'll see you on the next.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.